there's not much stopping Trump from going full dictator, but one of the things that is he wants to get rid of. It's a 90-year-old precedent set by the Supreme Court during FDR's term. Let me tell you about it, because we're about to have to get really mad loud about this. It's called Humphrey's Executor, and it's pretty similar to what we've got going on now. Back in Wilson's term, he established the Federal Trade Commission. During FDR's tenure, he wanted to remove the head of the FTC because that person didn't agree with him politically. They didn't like the New Deal. And so FDR's like, great, then you're gone. And he fired him. Only that was unconstitutional because after Humphrey was fired and then he died, his executor sued the government for back pay. And the Supreme Court unanimously, all 9 justices, were like, you cannot do that. The president can't just remove people from independent agencies, even if they are in the executive branch. He doesn't have that power. It is not a constitutional power because, and then they go into the spirit of the law and Constitution set out by James Madison, the author of the Constitution, and the Federalist Papers. And the Supreme Court's like, look, some of these agencies, though they may be in the executive branch, they operate quasi-legislatively or quasi-judicially, and therefore they need to be independent. This case specifically dealt with the FTC, which is one of those agencies that Trump is targeting. A former law clerk of Clarence Thomas, Sarah something, I can't remember her name. Hold on, I'll get it. Sarah Harris, the acting Solicitor General of the Department of Justice, wrote a letter to the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary because they have to do this when they believe something is unconstitutional. So this is just a bunch of case law, and they're going to try to say, look, we think that Donald Trump has the constitutional authority to remove these people because blah, blah, blah. And they're just going to make a bunch of shit up. This is all laid out in Project 2025, so it shouldn't be shocking that they're doing this. But we have every right to be nervous about the Supreme Court. They overturned the Chevron deference, dramatically undermining the sovereignty of federal agencies. But I need you to hear me when I say that this flies in the face of everything that the founders and our Constitution puts forth, which is the idea that there is a separation of powers, that there are checks and balances, and this administration is doing everything they can to try to convince people that that doesn't exist because he's allegedly operating in the good faith for the people. It doesn't matter how much corruption that people believe these two are uncovering. It doesn't mean they get to throw away the Constitution. Aren't y'all so big on the Constitution? You Republicans that are constantly reminding me, we're a constitutional republic, we're not a democracy. I mean, we're an indirect democracy because we're a representative republic, and we also have a Constitution for a reason. And this case was already ruled on unanimously because anyone with even a 5th grade affinity for civics understands the necessity of limiting the power of the executive branch, and that's what we need to continue doing. So stay tuned for this. I don't love this for us, but we stay vigilant, we stay ready, we stay resisting.